It is official. We have wrapped up the 2024 MLS season. Do not fret. The new season will begin in 2 months. We actually have a lot that will bridge the gaps. The CONCACAF Champions Cup draw coming up. This will be dropping on a Monday. That will be on Tuesday night. MLS Super Draft. And then the MarketPlace, which is going to be, every year it's going to be bigger than the last. And this one, no doubt, is going to top last year, and we'll get into all those details here shortly on the Soccer OG. Thanks for everyone who's been tuning in. We've had a nice run of MLS videos, and I'm getting a great response, a lot of clicks, so let's keep it going. Hit that like button, smash it, and we'll continue to keep it going. We do U.S. soccer, we do world football. We like to be very comprehensive. We also have the 2025. We just had the draw for the Club World Cup. By the way, I want to mention this about Gianni Infantino. This is his baby. And I know there's getting a lot of malaise and pushback from UEFA about this, and I don't blame them. There's a lot of teams with players that have had nonstop schedules, and maybe this tournament doesn't work out. But Gianni Infantino, he has been hell-bent on making it get through. He's had his draw. He's got a broadcast partner, $1 billion from DAZN. That's not bad business whatsoever. And while this may not be a big deal in Europe, they'll still watch it. But this will be a huge deal in South America and Africa and parts of North America and Asia. And while the money's not crazy there compared to Europe and the United States or so forth, the whole idea is to brand out the sport. So it's a good thing in the big picture of things, in my estimation. We will talk about MLS Cup. We'll give you my little State of the League address here after I was in person there in Los Angeles to hear Don Garber's annual address, and I was also there at the game. I had to leave early because I had food poisoning. It was crazy. I haven't had any food poisoning in like 25 years. But, I was, if you saw me at the stadium, it was gnarly. I actually had to blow out a couple times in one of the bathrooms, and there's some people that I worked with that saw that, and they were horrified. But hey, I'm an open book. So I left a little earlier. I rewatched the game, but I was able to, soak it all in. Now, one thing I wanted to say that was very cool, and this is generally very positive, but we're not going to run around from the big issues here with Major League Soccer either. But by and large, you can sit here and argue and be unhappy with some elements of MLS, but that showpiece event, you've got to be impressed by. I will actually add that is probably the best MLS Cup I have seen. I was there 2 years ago at BMO Stadium for that unforgettable final. But remember, BMO Stadium's 22,000 seats. This is 29,000 seats. It's a big difference. So when that place is packed, and they also have this new sound system, which was paid for by the Chargers, who were residents there. So you just think about the windfall of money coming in. That stadium has been one of the biggest American success stories ever. When it was built, in 2003, you think of X Games and concerts and high school football and the NFL. They have done very well. So if you go to a game there, you're going to feel it. And now they have truly plugged into the reinvestment, in large part to what LAFC was doing. Because LAFC was owning the city, but now this is a Galaxy town for the time being. And I work with LAFC, I'm talking to the folks, and I'm kind of excited because this is going to have to raise the bar here with what we do. So California is the lion's den, LA, Southern California in particular, of soccer, and that's a good thing. And a high tide, as they say. We'll see what LAFC's response is. But that's a big part of MLS. But to my previous point, there were 2,200 Red Bull fans there. And the New York Red Bulls are known for not great support. We see Red Bull Arena, and by and large, it's empty. 2,200 fans came out here and spent a few days in LA. That's something we'd have never seen. 2,200, and there were several more in the city. I'm not kidding you. I went out for a bike ride. I saw them on the Strand in the South Bay. I went for a run, in Santa Monica. I saw them there as well. I went for a beer, meeting some friends at the world-famous Bullpen at Redondo Beach. 2 Red Bull fans. Everywhere, Red Bull jerseys. Felt like it was an NFL game. That many Red Bull jerseys. That's what you see when the Eagles or Ravens are visiting. I'm dead serious. It was very cool. So these are elements that we can compare to our league we didn't have. So that place was absolutely buzzing. It was a pure spectacle. You had Warren G and LA Icon singing Regulate at halftime. Everybody loves Regulate. Regulators! That's one of the great jams of all time. No Nate Dogg, of course, because we lost him a few years ago. But Warren G was there. It was popping. It was ambient. You also plug the history of this league when you think of what the LA Galaxy have done in the past. Dejan Joveljic celebrating and doing the Robbie Keane. We're a young league. I know you're sick of me saying this, but anytime you can plug into the history, those are special moments. And we certainly saw that with regards to this team. I also got a lot of texts and emails and WhatsApps from friends overseas who watched the game and were like, wow, that was really impressive. We tuned in. It was a 1 o'clock kick, so it was a nice kickoff time for people in Europe, certainly in South America, 1 o'clock Pacific time, local, which is a little early for us. For me, who wasn't feeling so great, I had to take a bit of a hit. We'll talk a little bit about the game. I'm sure you've heard about it. It wasn't the ideal final, but my friend Sophie Nicolau asked Don Garber in his address, maybe it was a good thing that Inter Miami didn't make the final. And I'm saying maybe it was, because we would have missed a lot of what happened with the Galaxy, which is going to be so big for the league, and I'll get into some more of those details. And it's fired up Inter Miami. And I'll talk about the offseason, but Inter Miami is going to be in the crosshairs of that, and it's going to be tremendously exciting to see a team challenge that needs to get it right in what we believe 2 more years of Lionel Messi, perhaps more. But I think 2 years is that sweet spot. You can't have him forever, but you use him just like we had David Beckham to continue to build the league. As for the game, high-scoring affair, lots of action, very well played for a final, because every time you hold your breath for a final, and these MLS Cup playoffs have not been good. The Galaxy have been entertaining. They scored 18 goals, which is a new record, or 19 goals, which is a new record for the MLS Cup playoffs. But all the other games were grinded out affairs, not the prettiest on the eyes, which is fine. You get used to that. So we expected that for this game, especially with no Ricky Pooch in there for the Galaxy. We didn't get it. 2-goal lead. Red Bulls come back. Second half, there were some scary moments for the Galaxy. The Red Bulls really came to play. So it had all those ingredients. Some things that I liked. Dejan Joveljic. We talked about Ricky Pooch and go, where are they going to get the offense? Well, you see how this Galaxy team is built. They have so much attacking talent. Gabriel Peck, Joseph Paintsil. Paintsil was phenomenal. Peck was really good, but we know he can do better. And Dejan Joveljic, who doesn't get that credit, but he's had like 22 goals in all competitions for the Galaxy. When you see him play, he reminds me of Luis Suarez. I mean, this is a guy that could excel in Europe. I've already told you about Gabriel Peck, and there are rumors that a lot of top Premier League teams are keeping tabs on him. He was bought for 12. Look, the Galaxy spent money on players, so spending money is working. Not across the board. The Red Bulls didn't spend a ton of money. Yeah, they brought in Emil Forsberg and Dante Van Zier the year prior, but they've leaned into their academy. I think they're going to start spending money from what we're hearing. Seattle Sounders made the Western Final. They don't spend any money. So you can do it without the big spending prowess. But we want this league to have these super teams that get rewarded for that. But Gabriel Peck is probably valued, if they sold him, they'd make a profit. I'd say about 15, 16 million. Maybe not Paintsil at 10 million, but they could get close. Not that they're going to sell him. But if they get a good offer, they will sell Gabriel Peck. And I think that might be in the cards. But Joveljic is a young player, and man, he's got that Luis Suarez quality. He's just a really talented guy. And they were able to find the depth, which is a question mark for MLS clubs, to close that out. So really good stuff there. And when I talked about Los Angeles, it's like it's our London or Buenos Aires, that epicenter of soccer. And it's going to continue to see that growing forward. So talking about the spending of the teams. And I'm going to talk about the Don Garber address here. But speaking specifically for the Galaxy, I spoke to some very good sources. They told me that Philip Anschutz, who is the owner of the Galaxy and a guy that without his contributions financially and others, this league wouldn't exist. His name is on the MLS Cup. It's the Philip Anschutz Trophy. AEG is a multi-billion-dollar industry, an entertainment giant. And I heard from very good sources because of this, and you could see it. And again, Mauricio Pochettino was there. Celebrities were everywhere. This was an LA event. That Philip Anschutz is all in again. So, I mean, while there's going to be limitations, and Don Garber in the address said he doesn't see a change to the salary cap, and I predicted that would change, so apparently I'm wrong. I know a lot of the owners would like to change it, not all of the owners. But, you know, my argument there to the owners that don't want to spend, you don't have to spend a lot of money. You just got to be creative in different ways. Look at the Sounders, look at the Red Bulls, look at other teams. So you can use your academy. You can find players within the league to be successful. But Philip Anschutz will find a way. So you have Inter Miami, the Galaxy, you have LAFC, you have FC Cincinnati, which are being very ambitious. A lot of clubs. So exciting time. But Philip Anschutz, you know, that is a mega owner and a guy who has always been engaged. But this you can see with the way they were able to build this team that they were on their way to doing very well. So we look forward to the transfer window, and all the signs are there that it's going to be very ambitious. Everyone wants to keep up with the Joneses, so to speak. I mentioned FC Cincinnati. They've already spent an MLS record transfer, 15-16 million for Kevin Denke, comes over from the Belgian league. San Jose, this report that Brandon Vasquez, who's probably a $10 million player, who's playing at Monterrey, may come here. I mean, that's the worst team in MLS, and Brandon Vasquez, who's on the U.S. national team roster, would go there. It's going to be constant. I think a lot of big names that we will have already been thrown around here. Kevin De Bruyne, who's out of contract at the end of this season, being wooed by David Beckham and Miami. You know, there's guys that are looking for work. Why wouldn't they come here? Like a guy like Mo Salah. Antoine Griezmann. I have good intel that Atletico Madrid are on the midst of a fantastic season, but they are having some issues keeping it all under financial fair play, and Griezmann would be the logical choice to part ways with. So that might open the door. I mean, any combination of these guys could make it there. Keylor Navas has been mentioned, the goalkeeper. Not the sexiest, but a good name goalkeeper to bring in the league. And we certainly need more of those. And I had another nice this is the good thing about going to MLS Cup. You have so many great conversations. So I was thrilled about that. And somebody said, you know, in this changing landscape of football, MLS has that identity of lifting up the number 10s, which, you know, are not, you know, you look at Man City and Barcelona, all these big clubs, they play it a different way. Where everything goes through the number 10, we still have enough teams, not all the teams, but enough teams to push for it. So I think of guys like James Rodriguez. Some of these, that position's kind of becoming a bit of a dinosaur in many ways, but not here. And I think we should find ways to empower them because these are the sexiest players on the planet. What about Paulo Dybala? Again, they're not going to all come here because it's going to be crazy money, but because of that landscape of the number 10s, these number 10s could come here because their options might be thinned out, which means a little cheaper. But all of this is very positive with regards to MLS. I mentioned the CONCACAF Champions Cup. That draw, we have 10 teams. MLS has 10 teams. It's the best field. Granted, it's expanded, but you have all the heavy hitters. Inter, Columbus, Galaxy, LAFC, Sounders, everyone's in it. So it's the best participation MLS has had. I mean, I should have made 2 videos here, but I'm going to keep pushing through. And we'll talk about the state of the league. When they talk to Don Garber is brilliant at kind of deflecting because there was like 8 questions about the Apple TV numbers. That's what people want to know. And they're very guarded. And it's safe to say that being that guarded, if the numbers were through the roof, they would be shared. We know the numbers aren't through the roof. All the other numbers for MLS are positive. The investment, the gate, that stat that came out where it was the second most attended league, that's obviously aided a lot by Lionel Messi and also having 29 teams. But that's still something you celebrate. So, well done. I mean, most stadiums are full. Just look at that final. That was just unbelievable. And even throughout the playoffs, very few, if half to, most of them were 3/4 to full. So, very guarded. Don Garber did say one thing about the Apple TV deal, that any certain day, there's 1 million viewers. Now, if MLS got 1 million viewers per game, great news. But we're talking about 1 million for the whole broadcast day. That's not anything to do backflips over. But he gave us that information. Now, if they can double that in a couple of years, which I think they can, now we're talking. This takes time, and we've got to be patient for people to pivot their viewing rates. Talked about the young audience and the partners and the marketing. It's all good. So that will continue to push forward. I believe, based on some other things that he has talked about, a fall-spring schedule is a certainty. Maybe somewhere around the 2026 World Cup, MLS will move to fall-spring. I think you can lock that down. He mentioned the Leagues Cup and Opens Cup. Open Cup, MLS will participate. The Leagues Cup will still go on in a different format. I've heard certain things. I've always thought because Liga MX has, got rid of their domestic cup and the U.S. Open Cup has been diminished for better or worse, that maybe you can have a combined cup that you play throughout the season between the teams. So, it's not over a month, but it goes on through the season. Maybe that'd be good because it's something no one else has. So he also said not playing during the 2026 World Cup, which is a smart move because you do not want to congest that runway at all. You do not want to compete with what is going to be the biggest sporting event of all time. So a lot on the plate, a lot of growth here, but there's a lot to be excited about. So get excited. And we'll be back. MLS will be back 2025. We, as in the Soccer OG, to continue to keep tabs on all this. I know I left off a few things, but I got to leave something for the next video. Make sure you like and subscribe us here. Take a look at the library. Check back at the Soccer OG podcast. We're on a bit of a hiatus, but we'll be back. Until then, we'll see you soon.